20 years after Mabo, the government reworks native title but retains a contentious clause.
I do know, of course, that there are people that have argued for more radical changes.
The US says Al-Qaeda's number 2 has been taken out by a drone strike in Pakistan.
Al-Libi's death is a major blow to core Al-Qaeda.
Truly astronomical, the planets align as Venus makes a rare trek across the sun.
People have planned for this for years, months and years.
And a royal day, processions, pageants and big hats, a spectacular finale to the Diamond Jubilee celebrations.
I hope that memories of all this year's happy events will brighten our lives for many years to come.
Hello and welcome to ABC News across Australia. I'm Ros Childs. Figures just out show economic growth steaming ahead. They gave the local share market a brief boost and the All Ords is up just over 7 points now. Nikkei's nearly 60 points higher. Dow Jones did well overnight in the Australian dollar at 98 US cents. More finance later in the bulletin. It was the crowning moment of 4 days of celebrations. Deafening applause greeted Queen Elizabeth as she stepped onto the balcony of Buckingham Palace to greet hundreds of thousands of flag-waving fans. And in a rare televised address, the Queen described the public's ecstatic response to her Diamond Jubilee as a humbling experience. Europe correspondent Philip Williams reports.
After the concert the night before, a more sombre reflection at St Paul's Cathedral on the Queen's decades of service, what she's given the nation and what she's received.
Our Queen has shown a quality of joy in the happiness of others. She has made her public happy, and all the signs are that she is herself happy, fulfilled, and at home in these encounters. The same, of course, can manifestly be said of Prince Philip, and our prayers and thoughts are very much with him this morning.
No doubt the Queen was missing her constant companion of the last 64 years, but despite Prince Philip's absence, she did what she always does, keep calm and carry on, a trait admired from afar.
On the historic occasion of your Diamond Jubilee, Michelle and I send you and all the British people and members of the Commonwealth the heartfelt congratulations of the American people.
The events that I have attended to mark my Diamond Jubilee have been a humbling experience. It has touched me deeply to see so many thousands of families, neighbours and friends celebrating together in such a happy atmosphere.
But countless thousands wanted their final say, a chance to cheer the Queen and the rest of the family as they made their way down the Mall.
I've just finished wiping the tears from my eyes. It's very emotional. I really got choked up, I did.
She gave us a wee wee, she did.
Once the royals were back in the palace, the barriers were removed. A cascade of well-wishers flooded down the Mall, all hoping for a final glimpse of just one woman, as 4 days of celebrations were coming to an end. It started with boats, it ended with planes. First, aircraft from the Second World War, familiar sights for the Queen who gave them the thumbs up. That followed by a more modern version, the red arrows trailing their colours. May be the end of the Jubilee this time, but it's the beginning of a new era for the Queen, and already there's discussion of the possibility of the Platinum Jubilee in 10 years' time. Finally, a very British end to this thoroughly British bash. Philip Williams, ABC News, Buckingham Palace.
It seems every day or so more layoffs are announced for 105 years. It has special significance for sky watchers here. Australia is one of the best places on the earth to watch the spectacle. Andrew Jacob is the Assistant Curator of the Sydney Observatory.
Well, it's an important event because for For most of us now, this will be our last chance to see it until 2117, which I guess for most of us it means we're not going to see another one. It's also important in that it has some scientific usefulness this time around. The early transits were used for determining the distance between the Earth and the Sun. In 2004, there wasn't a lot of science that we were doing with the transit. It was a matter of historical interest and a great spectacle. Now again in 2012, there is some science that we can do with it.
And what extra knowledge could that give us by doing that?
Specifically, what we can do is look at how the atmosphere of Venus affects the transmission of light coming from the Sun. One way this is being done is through the Hubble Space Telescope, but other telescopes are also observing this. The Hubble Telescope can't look at the Sun directly, it's far too bright. The Hubble Telescope is looking at the Moon and seeing the reflected light from the Sun. It's going to try and detect how the atmosphere of Venus affects the transit and the way we measure the transit. If we have that sort of measurement done here in a position where we know how big Venus is, we know what Venus's atmosphere is like, we know what the Sun looks like, then we can apply that new knowledge to the extrasolar planets. And hopefully that'll give us a much better handle on what's actually happening with those extrasolar planets transiting their stars.
It's a little bit cloudy in Sydney today, but if you're lucky enough to live somewhere where there are clear skies, what's the best and the safest way to see this?
So the best and safest way would be to use solar glasses, which many people around here at the observatory have today, or you could use the projection method. If you have binoculars or a telescope, you can stand with your back to the Sun and project the light through those binoculars or the small telescope up to a few inches in diameter, and project the light through that telescope onto a white card in the background. You'll be able to see the Sun as an image on that white card and a little black spot about 1/30th the size of the Sun's diameter. That little black spot will track across the Sun. It's going to happen all through the day, finishes up around 2:45 this afternoon. Definitely don't look through those binoculars or telescope at the Sun. You'll be blinded pretty much instantly. Those projection methods or the solar glasses are quite safe methods to use.
Andrew Jacob, good to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And staying with the Sun, a solar-powered plane has made its first intercontinental flight. Called the Solar Impulse, the plane took off from Madrid, flying to Rabat in Morocco after crossing the Strait of Gibraltar at one of the narrowest points between Europe and Africa. The craft took 19 hours to cover what a conventional jet would do in a little more than an hour. The Solar Impulse is about as big as an Airbus, but as light as an average family car. It's powered by 12,000 solar cells. Let's have a quick look at other stories making news around the world. Nigeria's Civil Aviation Authority has grounded an airline after one of its planes crashed into a building in Lagos, killing all 153 people on board. Anxious families have been crowding a hospital morgue, trying to identify corpses from Sunday's disaster. Pakistan says it successfully test-fired a nuclear-capable cruise missile with a range of 700 kilometres. It's a third such test in 2 weeks since neighbouring India launched a missile capable of firing warheads as far as Beijing and Eastern Europe. And Russian climber and base jumper Valery Rozov has used a wingsuit to leap from a 6,400-metre peak in the Himalayas. He landed 90 seconds later on a glacier after reaching speeds of up to 200 kilometres an hour. Carry moisture onto the New South Wales and Queensland coasts, triggering showers. Then a high should keep the south and interior dry, while bringing a few showers to western Tasmania. And around the capital, showers for Brisbane, Sydney and Melbourne. Early frost in Canberra. Showers also in Hobart. Adelaide and Darwin, mostly sunny, and a possible thunderstorm is the forecast for Perth.